Good morning, Facebook and everybody watching the internet. We got Blind Justice on the streets of Aberdeen once again. We're sitting outside of City Hall. And I just wanted to encourage you all today, this lovely Tuesday morning, with a few thoughts on peace. Many people recognize the suffering and the hardships of life, whether that be personally or in their local community or greater community or global community, and they recognize we need peace. We need some peace, in personal peace, peace in our heart, peace in our life, peace in our families, or peace for a friend, peace on earth. So a lot of the questions are, well, what's the way to peace? And actually, peace is the way. So it's not necessarily finding the way to peace, but it's being able to tap into peace as the way forward, as the way not just forward, but right now. Right? We only have moments to live, so you only have this moment, now this moment, right? A lot of people spend a bulk of their time trying to live in the past, trying to relive hardships and suffering, or trying to run from the past, trying to avoid the hardship and suffering of their past, the trauma. Some people look to the future and stay there and try to live in that, chasing the dream, chasing the carrot, never quite able to reach it, or once you get it, realize that you're not satisfied. That's not what you were chasing. So peace is the way, and a big part of tapping into peace is being able to be here now, be present in this moment, and experience it for what it is. And that means being able to compassionately accept the situation, compassionately accept whatever disability or whatever struggle or whatever suffering is happening. And then trying not to judge it, trying not to say, oh, this is so horrible, or this is worse than this, or this is comparing, right? But just to allow it to be what it is, to compassionately accepting, we look towards it and reach out to it and touch the area of suffering that may be happening in your life or in the life of someone else. And that's that act of turning our face towards the suffering is something that in the West we haven't been really good at culturally, traditionally. The predominant Western culture is to avoid or to mask, to medicate suffering. And so many people, I think it's like 9:40. I don't. I think that's accurate. That's about what time it was when I started. The time, anyway. But the tradition in the West has been typically to try to avoid, to run away, or to mask it, to cover it up. And so that is so apropos to a lot of the impetus for why we're out here and what we're trying to see or achieve locally but globally with humanity is this freedom, the freedom of the heart to love, to open up instead of closed off, to try to protect, trying to protect your heart, trying to build these walls around it, so you don't experience, so you can't experience the suffering of others and compassionate, and realize, oh, I'm suffering with that person. How do we end the suffering? Finding the path to ease the suffering. So it's peace, and it's being able to kindly, compassionately, acceptingly turn towards the suffering and identify it for what it is. And part of that is the lack of doing that is this, again, the lack, the poverty that we have in the West it's one of the big poverties we have, is this lack of understanding because of the lack of looking towards the suffering, looking towards the area of hardship, because people want to look away or just keep driving, don't make eye contact, right? Roll up my window so I can't hear the guy asking for help. Alter my route so I don't have to walk past a person that is suffering. And really that's kind of the stem of these ordinances, is a lack of understanding. Because from my conversations with people, they've expressed fears. It's rooted in a fear. And the root of fear is a lack of understanding. So if there's somebody has a phobia of spiders or of heights, right? A way that has been used to help them get over that fear is to introduce them kindly, gently, safely to a little bit of heights, a little bit of spiders maybe, right? And show that there's really not, once you have an understanding of the thing, then your fear just kind of disappears. So it's being able to patiently, kindly, acceptingly look at the suffering and identify it. Okay, this is the problem. This is where the hurting is. And then we can say, well, what's the cause? Right? What's the cause of the hurting? Where's the source? Where's this coming from? Where's the cause of the suffering? And then we can identify, oh, okay, well, we have plenty of resources collectively to end this. We can end this suffering. We can find a path of peace without using violence to try to solve problems. That's been happening for thousands of years on this planet. The violence, it doesn't solve the problems. It only adds to. It's like Animal Farm, George Orwell's Animal Farm, right? When the pigs try to, they get rid of the humans, and then they say, okay, we're going to run the farm, but we run it differently, and they end up running it just as ruthless as the humans, and worse, the animals. It was better when the humans were running it, right? That's the same thing. It's an allegory for the system, for the regime change, from voting somebody in and getting the same bill of goods, or revolution, violent revolution, and then another power-hungry person rises to the top to control and dominate. It's the same system of control and violence that hasn't worked for thousands of years. It only pacifies or masks the suffering. So we can learn to turn to the suffering, to face it and identify it and say, okay, where's the cause? We got to be able to be patient and look long enough and hard enough and listen and say, okay, here's the cause. Okay, now we can end that. We have resources to end that. Let's find the path. Let's direct person to get the enrichment they need to fill in that gap, that lack, to end the suffering, to end the poverty there. So a big part of the impoverishment we have is a lack of understanding. So hopefully this little chat can enrich your life, and you can have a little more fullness today. So expand your understanding. Look towards an area of struggle in your personal life, area of struggling, suffering in your family, and try to just compassionately say, oh, okay, darling, what is the cause here? Oh, you're hurting, okay. Let me listen and look. Yes, okay. I can help with that. You're thirsty, I can give you something to drink. Oh, you're hungry, I can give you something to eat. You're cold, I can give you some clothes or a blanket. Oh, you just need compassion. You just need someone to sit with you, or to hold you, or to touch you. Yeah, so try it. Try to look at yourself. And that's the starting point, I think, is to really look at yourself and compassionately, acceptingly, whatever it is, whatever you're suffering with, whether it's from the stuff of the past that you've been trying to avoid and mask, being able to look at that and say, okay, self, we're going to let this be what it is, and then just lovingly accept it like a child. I have children, so if I'm listening to a book or a show and the child comes up and wants attention, it's like, Dad, 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 Dad. I could choose to be annoyed and get angry and say, hey, I'm doing something. Or I could say, oh, this child needs love and attention. So I can pause the book or pause the audio of some sort, and then turn to the child and say, yes, my darling, what do you need? And accept it. So that's the part of suffering. The child is the part of suffering in your body or in your mind that is wanting the attention. And a lot of times, instead of turning to it and accepting it, we turn the volume up and try to drown out the child. And we try to drown out that area of suffering. So, peace to you. Peace is the way. Find love in your heart. I wish and hope you well today. May you have ease. May you be free of suffering. May you connect with other people and expand your understanding and your consciousness. And have a wonderful day. I'll keep you posted as we move around the city. Deo Presso Liber.